Welcome back to Dust and Salt, everyone. We're ready to go to the next sort of destination we want to head to, but to recap before we go there, we successfully got the siege engines from our friends down here, kind of the Pitmen revolt, and then we successfully also helped the son of this kingdom depose his father, and therefore I think we get horsemen. I think they actually joined our group immediately, but hopefully we'll also get more help when we finally go off to the evil city. So I think, given that we're down here, let's head on over to Discord. And I think what we're supposed to do here is convince them not to ally with their normal allies. Once you arrive in Discord, you give your men time to rest. The road was long and tiring, so you start looking for an inn where you can stay. Ragnar, Nan, Abbas, as well as a few of your men decide to stay at the Dapper Bear. You wonder if you want to join them right away, or have some time to yourself. Well, I don't want to leave the city. Let's go to the town. So let's go to the inn. First things first, you want some rest. You quickly notice that the innkeeper is definitely not dapper, but does look like a bear. You get a room, but you are starving, so you go down to the main room to try the bear's meals. You sit at the only free table where a man is picking at the food in his bowl with contempt. The two of you begin a conversation, and you soon learn that his name is Oppressor, and he is a slave trader. I don't like the taste of the beer here, he says, slurping. It's better at the Dead Blackbird. True. The pub is perhaps the biggest hole in all of Discord, but the beer is unforgettable. You coming? Yeah, let's go with him. Well, I should be careful though, he's a slave trader. You go to the Dead Blackbird, where the beer really turns out to be far superior to the one at the Dapper Bear. Okay. Yeah, I should be on my own. On my guard, I guess. Cheers. He raises his mug. Cheers. You respond, and he begins telling you about his latest slave deal. While you listen to him, you look around. At the next table, there's a big man with a shaved head and numerous tattoos, heatedly arguing with two other men. You know nothing, curs, he yells. Take it easy, fellow, one of the two replies. You're not in damn murk. This is Discord. Mind your words. The tattoo man throws his mug at the other man's face, then stands up, grabs his head, and bashes it against the wooden table. The other man jumps to his feet and reaches for his sword, but the tattooed one is surprisingly quick, and with a strong blow to the stomach, he makes his opponent drop to the ground. The big man looks around and shouts, Are there any other volunteers willing to taste the rage of Murk? Who here is against Murk, you cowards? Who would dare insult this great city? I'm tempted to answer it. Let's do it. Although he's probably going to destroy me. Murk is a nest of evil that must be razed to the ground, you say calmly, though rage is rising in you, ready to explode at any moment. What did you say? The tattooed giant cannot believe his ears and turns around. What did you call my hometown? You heard me, buddy. If Murk is your hometown, that explains why you stink like garbage, you add. The man gives a roar like a wounded beast and throws himself at you. You jump out of your seat and swing the mug in your hand toward the torso that is now advancing in you. Test your strength. That is unfortunate. I do not think I'm very strong. You smash your mug against the tattooed man's head, but this does not stop him. He throws himself on you, and his fist meets your chin. With difficulty, you manage to squeeze out from underneath him, but his subsequent kick sends you to the table of a noisy group of men, who are far from delighted when you knock their mugs to the ground. They pounce on you, and soon all the visitors of the pub start pummeling each other. Uh-oh. Later, when you leave the Dead Blackbird, you think you have at least one fractured rib. You clench your teeth to stem the pain. You lose 2 life points. Oh! Man, brutal. Well, I don't want to zoom out. Hold on. Let's go back to the inn. I want to rest. Does that give me my life back? It does not. The next day, your soldiers are rested and ready to set off again. Well, let's try to win Discord. Don't think it's going to go well, though. You gather with your 3 mentors to discuss the opportunities of winning Lord Fanrag, the ruler of Discord, to your side. You go out for a walk in the city center. You are standing outside a pub held by Vaingloria immigrants, sipping their light cider. You look at the lively central square when a group of heavily armed horsemen rushes by you. How do you intend to commence the negotiations? Exchange letters? Send Lord Fanrag an invitation to meet in person. Could try that, although if I were him, why would I meet with me? You said Non to personally hand in your request for a face-to-face meeting with Lord Fanrag. When she returns, she tells you that the ruler of Discord welcomed her and listened to what she had to say. After a short reflection, he proposed that the two of you see each other in one of the outskirt districts of Discord. His explicit instruction was that you go alone. He promised that his people would not accompany him. What? Why would he do that? Can I trust him? You ask Non. Smiling bitterly, she says, I think not. He would sell his own mother in the bloody stone pits if they pay him a good price for her, but he claimed he would only meet you if you went alone. You have to decide what to do. The meeting is scheduled for you tonight. How will you go? Oh man, it's a trap. I'll go alone. I'm gonna regret it. The house where you are to meet is located in one of the poorest districts of Discord. Rain has been pouring all afternoon, turning the land into a sticky mud, and making the gray setting in this part of the city even more depressing. Evening falls, and the street you are walking on, which is not that busy anyway, is soon empty. You walk alone between the dilapidated houses, and your steps lead you to a one-story building with a chalk-drawn letter F on the door. This marks the meeting place. Insight. You are just about to knock on the door when you notice that there are footprints in the mud in front of the house. It is nothing special at first sight, but when you look closer, you see they are left by boots, different in looks and size, a sure sign that there were at least a few people here. This house arouses your suspicions, but then you admit to yourself that it is very possible the prints were left by regular passers-by. Yes, some of the footprints lead to the door, but maybe they belong to the people living in the house. I'm still gonna go through, which I might regret. You knock and you hear a male voice from within. Come in! You open the door and go inside the house. Strangely, there are no candles or lanterns burning in the room. Man, this is bad. You remain in the doorway until your eyes become accustomed to the darkness. It seems as if you distinguish Lord Fanrag in front of you. The silhouette of a big man who, suddenly, swings something that looks suspiciously like a wooden cudgel in the dark. Test your agility. It falls heavily on your head, causing you to drop to the ground. Someone pounces on you, but even though you are dizzy from the blow, you kick him, pushing him away. You try to stand up, but a second blow from the cudgel brings you down to the ground again. This time, you fail to defend yourself and you are showered with a series of blows. Your face is covered in blood, and a swarm of stars explodes before your eyes. Your hand, however, finds your attacker's face, and you sink your fingers into his eyes with all your remaining strength. The attacker roars and falls, wriggling in pain. You stand up, but at that moment you are struck once more, this time with a knife. Sharp pain cuts through your ribs when the blade pierces your flesh. You swing in the darkness, hit your first attacker, and then push him back with a kick to the groin. You escape from the house, hearing curses and swearing behind you, as well as the noise of your pursuers' boots running after you. Luckily, you manage to lose them by taking one of the narrow streets, and you retreat a safe distance. The rain pouring down in torrents falls on you once again. It washes away most of the blood that flows down your face and clothes, but the pain keeps cutting you every time you take a breath. With a final effort, you manage to reach the inn where the rest are waiting for you, and let Abbas bandage up your wounds. You lose 2 life points. Oh man. The Elegant Bear Inn? I don't know what that is. You order your troops to get ready to leave Discord as soon as possible. You consult with your mentors one last time, and your soldiers bring you to a man in dark clothes who silently hands you a letter with Lord Fadrang's wax seal on it. You break the seal and read the letter. Oh, interesting. To Wayward, leader of the Nameless People. Wayward, I sincerely apologize for what happened. I was falsely told that you wanted us to meet in order to do me harm. Misled by that unfaithful advice, I decided to act before you. But now I realize that I've made a mistake, and that it will be best for Discord and the Nameless People to unite their causes. Wow. I reach out a hand to you, and I'm ready to renew our negotiations, this time in writing. I know you want a union against our common enemy, the West Rim. However, you understand that important decisions are not easy to make. What can you offer Discord so that my cavalry fights side by side with the warriors of the Nameless Forest? I await your answer until sunrise. The man I am sending you will take your letter and bring it to me personally. May your night be calm and your decisions wise. Lord Fanrag, son of Fenrock, Warden of the Great Court of Discord. Interesting, this might actually turn out to get us something anyway. You look at the messenger. He grins at you and makes a sign that he will be waiting outside and then goes out. You hand the letter to your 3 advisors. Even though you've just escaped the evil lord's trap, you think it is still worth trying to win him to your side. When your army clashes with the army of Merc, the heavily armed riders of Discord could decide the outcome of the battle. So what should we give him? After a brief discussion, you conclude that you can offer Lord Fanreg a share of the loot that you will get from the City of the Seven, and you can recognize him as the only legitimate ruler of the entire West Rim. It's a good deal. Abbas, who's been silent for most of the time, taps his finger on his crossbow. Finally, he says grimly, "How about we offer Fanreg that you become a vassal of Discord after Merc is conquered? At least that way you will be sure that you have made him an offer he cannot refuse. I don't think he would miss an opportunity to expand his influence to the north." Ragnar laughs. Wayward must be crazy to offer such a thing. Once they conquer Merc, the Nameless would never agree to bow again to a foreign ruler. Abbas nods and answers. What are words? Dust carried away by the wind? Sometimes they fly north and other times they fly south. Use them and forget about them. Only deeds matter. If we win the war against Merc, Wayward can always go back on his word. Break his oath? Ragnar asks indignantly. I couldn't do it. A playful gleam sneaks into Abbas's eyes. I know that, my friend. That is why you are a good warrior, but you would never make a good ruler. Ragnar reddens and grunts angrily, but says nothing. Instead, he folds his hands in front of his chest and looks at you. What will you offer Lord Fanreg in return for his support in your march against Merc? 1, 2, or all of the options? Test your insight. You sense that Lord Fanreg is a man who would not be satisfied with just one of those things. You know people like him, greedy and self-loving, but also extremely calculating. Well, a share of the loot, for sure. And recognition of his power. And I don't want to offer to become a vassal. Lord Fanrag's messenger bows silently when you hand him the letter, and sets off on his way back. You hope that the ruler of Discord will answer without delay, but still prepare for a long wait. Although you try to stay awake, your eyelids gradually close, your head lilts back, and soon you fall asleep. You dream of your father, surrounded by Merc soldiers. He fights fiercely against them, but they are too many. An arrow pierces him, then a second one, a third. One of the soldiers stabs him with his sword, and a rose of blood blossoms on his chest. Your father reaches for you, calling for you and asking for help. He takes your hand and shakes you. You wake up covered in a cold sweat. You must have fallen asleep without realizing it. It is morning, and Lord Fanrag's messenger stands before you once again, accompanied by 2 of your warriors. You impatiently grab the letter from the mute's hand and open it. To Wayward, leader of the Nameless people. Wayward, I see you are wiser than some evil tongues claim. It is clear that our peoples have a common future, and I'm glad that you have the same opinion. Know that if you keep your promises, your Nameless soldiers can rely on my support. Perfect. However, Discord is surrounded by enemies, which means that I must be on alert constantly. That is why I ask you to keep our alliance in secret until the last moment. Let us then descend on them unexpected. Let us surprise them and not give them a chance to counteract our plans. Yeah, I mean, it doesn't seem like I want to tell anyone about this anyway. Lord Fanrag, son of Fenrock, Warden of the Grey Court of Discord. Yeah, because, I mean, like, they're supposed to be allies, right? So, if I said something now, they'd go to war immediately, and we're not ready. Pleased, you hand the letter to your mentors. As they read it, they nod their heads thoughtfully. Ragnar just mumbles that Fanrag must be hanged upside down. Abbas congratulates you on the success, and Non says, I think you should be on the alert. You never know what to expect from him. Yeah, I agree with that. You agree with her. You are almost certain that Fanrag is following a plan of his own, but you have to take the risk and ally with him if you want to win the war against Merc. The successful end of your negotiations gives you the self-confidence of an experienced ruler. You gain 2 glory points. Okay, that's pretty good. How do I, like, rest? Because I'm down to 3 health. Is there, like, no way to bring that back? We've got some troops here, but even the troops are pretty beat up. Go up to fleet here. But that was just to, like, a plan for how to get a fleet. Non told you once. If you want to defeat Merc, sooner or later you will have to lay siege to the mighty city. And you'll only be able to win the siege if you have ships to attack Merc by sea as well. Yeah, we still don't have a way to do this. Alright, so 2 options here, North Blaze or Oakleaf. There was something complicated about this that I don't totally remember. Like I could only do 1 or something? Although it is already spring, nights are still chilly, and you hope that Lord Cellier will accept you by his warm fire and treat you with delicious dishes before you start negotiations the next day. Something's wrong, says Ragnar, who went ahead to let them know of your arrival and has just returned to you. What do you mean? There are no soldiers around. The woods are completely unguarded, and there's a strange silence upon them. You speed up and enter Oakleaf. Near one of the forest brooks that you pass by, you see the still bodies of beasts, birds, and humans. Abbas rushes to a man wearing the green garments of Oakleaf and places an ear near the man's mouth. Then he raises his head and shouts, "He's still alive. His breathing is very weak." The man's eyes are closed, his breathing barely audible. There are no wounds on his body. It looks like he has fallen into a deep sleep. Any attempts to wake him up are unsuccessful. Make a move. Okay, we're going to Silver Slope, I guess. You continue on your way to Silver Slope, Lord Seller's palace. The motionless bodies of the palace guards are lying next to their longbows discarded on the ground. The palace is empty. You don't find a trace of Cillier. What has caused this? Why has everyone fallen into a slumber? Ragnar wonders aloud. This is bad news, so I guess we could know what the reason is if we'd done something, but we haven't done it, so none of you have an idea what might have caused this. You feel powerless. Regrettably, you would not find any help from Oakleaf until you discover what or who is behind this. Okay, so it's not over. We could come back. Alright, North Blaze is our only other option at this point. You head for North Blaze, the Steel City where Lord Aaron is in power. Make a move to the Iron Hills. You look up at the forbidding peaks of the Iron Hills and wipe the sweat off your forehead. The straight, well-worn path you were on has turned into a steep incline, with North Blaze sitting at the top under the sullen gray sky. Both sides of the path are lined with numerous standing stones. The Steel City, as they call it, resides so high up in the insurmountable Iron Hills that even the legendary invaders of the East would lose their desire for battle before they ever reach it. The only other way to get to North Blaze is the countless tunnels hollowed out under the city that go all the way down to the mountain foothills. Otherwise, trading caravans would have to use the uneven mountain path, you think to yourself as you follow Ragnar, Abbas, and Non, and climbing the steep path. Take a closer look at the stones. You take a closer look at one of the standing stones. You seem to be able to understand some of the symbols carved in the stone, but with your limited knowledge of Valhalla, you can only make out that they tell a story about past events and heroes fallen in battle. Ask Ragnar. These are the tombstones of those who once tried to conquer North Blaze. Every enemy that dares to stand up against us deserves to be buried with honor, and their day of their death to be remembered. Well, that's kind of badass. As you pass by the stones in silence, you gaze at the countless tombstones of warriors around you, who once raised a weapon against North Blaze. You think to yourself that perhaps the sight of them would be enough to dampen the thirst for prey in most conquerors. You proceed to the city. The City Watch welcomes you by the main gate. Their captain, clad in black, insists that the nameless soldiers remain outside the fortress walls. He agrees to let you, Ragnar, Non, and Abbas into the city, but no one else. Ragnar tries to convince him that you come in peace, but the watchman is unyielding and insists that you leave the nameless warriors outside the walls of North Blaze. I guess it makes sense. I mean, they're so far up here and they've resisted every other invasion. So we'll agree. You nod in agreement. In these lands you are foreigners and you must comply with the will of the people who are ready to accept you into their city. You order your troops to wait outside the city walls. They follow the orders and set up a camp on the side of the main gate where they prepare to rest. You pass through the gates. Entering the city, you end up on its main street where you notice the difference between the people here and the people in other big cities in the Sinlands. For example, while in Hellfury and Outremer the hubbub is unbearable and their citizens are clad in bright and colorful clothes, people here mostly wear dark clothes and they go about their business in silence, wrapped up in their thoughts. Numerous people in carts pass each other without shouting or quarreling, and the markets are devoid of merchants' cries. Abbas says thoughtfully, I've always thought people here are very, calm. Why is everything so quiet? What's wrong with them? Ragnar laughs and replies, Nothing is. In North Blaze, people are no less busy than anywhere else in the Sinlands. However, unlike you, Outramarian, we consider noise and screaming to be redundant, so we do our jobs without talking much. We solve our problems quickly and quietly without any needless tumult. Above all, we respect actions, and we are less interested in words. I can ask a question or I can keep silent. Given that they don't care about words, I'm going to keep silent. Soon, Ragnar points at the street in front of you, which divides into three. The path to the left leads to the library, and and the one to the right takes you to one of the big city markets and the gibbets. For Lord Iran's palace, we need to go straight ahead. Maybe you would like to see more of the north place? Where will you go? I don't know what gibbets are. Let's go to the library. Ragnar takes you to the huge library on the other side of the city. You knock on the massive iron-lined door, and a tiny wrinkled old man opens it, welcoming you warmly. What book would you like? He asks, lisping with his toothless mouth. Truth me, we have everything here. I would like to learn more about the history. You say hesitantly. You are still not sure why you chose to come here, but you would like to wander a bit before meeting Lord Aaron. Follow me, please, the old man says with a smile on his face, adding, My name is Thalion. You follow Salion inside. Wait, I'm not going to make small talk because I don't like talk. You find yourself in a huge room, almost hidden in darkness, disturbed only by the pale light filtering in through a few windows. Dozens of rows of bookshelves stretch in front of you, and you notice signs with inscriptions at the top of each one. Myths and legends, true history, poetry and proverbs, military art. Look around as much as you want, I'll make some tea. Salion invites you and disappears into the small room nearby. Your companions head into the aisles between the bookshelves. I'll go to the far end of the hall. Explore the dusty volumes. Nothing grabs your attention, so you continue to wander. After a while, you find yourself in front of a door of a side room. The door has a plaque nailed to it with a worn-out inscription that reads, Oak Leaf. Interesting. Inside, a couple of candles illuminate the room with their dim light. A richly decorated volume titled The Lords of Oakleaf attracts your attention. You unfold its pages and find beautiful engravings as well as boring notes of general historical nature. Turn the pages impatiently, but you do not find any valuable information. You notice, however, that the last few pages have been left empty. This fact surprises you, but you remember seeing something similar in some of the books from Weep, where the authors purposely leave blank pages for extra notes. Well, let's try to solve the mystery. Perhaps there's a hidden message on those pages, visible only to the few clever enough to read it. Test your knowledge in science, definitely. Having spent countless hours over the thick books and dusty volumes in libraries, you have acquired good general knowledge. You remember a particularly interesting book that you once found in Outremer. The author, Harris Eldam, a longtime counselor of the Zin of Outremer, described the impressive techniques by which letters written with invisible ink can be made visible again. And as far as you remember, according to Haras, heat reveals the secret messages that are otherwise invisible to the naked eye. How would you like to unravel the secret of the blank pages? Well, it sounds like heat is the trick, so let's draw the pages near the warmth of one of the candles. Be careful not to burn it. Are you really going to find some hidden message? Do you remember correctly this method of revealing invisible ink? What if Salion comes in and sees you? These are the kind of thoughts that pass through your head as you draw the candle closer to the yellow page. Your heart starts to pound faster when lines of text begin to appear on the paper. You were right. There really is a hidden message here. Excited, you begin reading the words. They appear one after another. And then, on the throne in Silver Slope, the palace where the masters of Oakleaf ruled, Lord Mavic, who was taken up with dark magic, ascended. Having mastered the mystery of ancient teachings, his powers grew to such an extent that he could cast spells on lakes, rivers, and wells, so that everyone who had sipped their water would sink into slumber, from which they could only be awakened by a potion prepared by the sorcerer. Turn the page. His evil tormented Oakleaf's people for years, until they revolted against him and banished him. Mavic went into exile, never to return to his native woods. He was succeeded by his much more beloved brother, whose sons rule over Oakleaf to this day. Besides the dark memory of Lord Mavic, there was only one more thing left to him, his book titled Advice for the Dark Wizard. There must be no more than a couple copies of that book in the entire Sinlands. Those were dark years in the history of Oakleaf, and it is best for them to be forgotten so that evil never returns in these lands. You leave the candle on the table and return the book to its place. Even in the oldest manuscripts you have read, you have never come across this excerpt of the history of Oakleaf. So it's cool that we learned that, but I don't know how we're going to use it, especially if they're all, mysteriously asleep. You lean back and rub your tired eyes. You look out the window. You must have been so enthralled in reading that you only just noticed the night has fallen. Salion has even brought you some candles. Ragnar, who has joined you at some point, is snoring beside you, leaning his head against the table. You tap him on the shoulder and he wakes you up with noisy yawns and stretches. You find Salion and thank him. Leave the library. Anon and Abbas, who have been waiting outside for some time now, frown at you. You shrug and tell them, I'm sorry it took so long, but the books I found were thicker than Ragnar's head. Ragnar laughs loudly, but Non and Abbas continue to look at you reprehensively. Don't worry about us. The warriors you left waiting all day outside the city's walls will not be pleased, though. Oh, no. You think she must be right. It wasn't your decision to leave your warriors outside the city walls, but it was you who decided to prolong your visit. Besides, now you will have to wait until the morning for Lord Aaron to accept you. The long wait and the cold night is unlikely to reflect well on your soldier spirits. Oh, man. Lost a glory point. Alright, let's go to the palace then. Lord Aaron resides in the Steel Palace. Decorations inside the palace are scarce. You do not see any gold at all, and the servants that welcome you are dressed in simple clothes, which do not suggest that they are serving the lord of one of the biggest cities in the East Rim. Your companions interrupt the silence. I've always found Lord Aaron fascinating. He is perhaps the only ruler who doesn't accumulate wealth, says Non. That isn't exactly the case, Ragnar replies. He has accumulated quite some wealth. However, he holds on to the belief, like everyone else in North Blaze, that it is wiser to use it for the development of the city rather than for vain decorations. It is another hour before Lord Aaron accepts you. You and Ragnar enter to see him while the others wait for you in the guest room. After exchanging the traditional greetings, it is time you reveal the reason for your visit. Lord Aaron stares at you with his steel gray eyes, his gaunt face showing no sign of emotion. Look around, speak your mind openly, suggest a proposition delicately. They seem like a pretty straightforward people. I won't prevaricate, and will put my offer on the table directly, you say with firm confidence. It seems to you that you detect a spark of approval in Lord Aaron's eyes. You gain a glory point. You tell him of your decision to put an end to the tyranny of Merc. You describe in detail the atrocities that it has committed lately, and explain why many of the local tribes and vassals would rise against the seven High Lords. Finally, you ask, I am looking for allies to aid in the fight against Merc. Would the Knights of North Blaze help to break the spine of the Seven Snakes? You hold your breath and wait eagerly for Lord Aaron's answer. His calm eyes fixed on you. Not a muscle moves on his pale face while he sizes you up. He finally speaks. His voice is deep and hoarse. Merc poses a threat not only to the west, but also to the east, rim of the Sid Lands. If we do not break this evil's neck now, soon it will reach North Blaze. But I don't know if I can trust you, foreigner. You look courageous, and there is determination in your words. However, you must prove to me that if you start a war, you can bring it to a successful end. I wouldn't lend the Knights of North Blaze with someone who doesn't know how to win this cause. You nod, encouraged by his words. He thinks something over. His face is still motionless, and his eyes are cold. The price of an alliance. Today, word came to me that the Horse Lords of the Steppes attacked one of our caravans transporting goods to the West Rim. These barbarians have never dared to attack us before, but apparently they are bold enough to do it now. Our next caravan is scheduled to set out very soon. It takes the same route, and it will need reliable security. I also have one other concern on my mind. The people of Blood Pledge have raised their weapons against North Blaze. The Spearmen of Blood Pledge were our allies for years, but now they have broken the agreement that our ancestors once closed. Someone needs to bring them to their senses and persuade them to accept our union once again. Take up these two tasks, said Lord Aaron finally. Take care of the next caravan, keep it safe from the Horse Lords, and secure its safe arrival to its final destination. Bring the Spearmen of Blood Pledge to their senses. If you succeed, the Knights of North Blaze will support your march against Merc. Okay. That seems pretty reasonable. Ask him about Blood Pledge. Do I want to ask him? They were friends of North Blaze for many years. Several moons ago, they chose Ulfric as a leader to their people. What do you know of him? A young spearman whose explosive powder running in his veins. Even the slightest insult can make him fly into a rage. I see. And why did they suddenly change their mind? The Steel Lord joins his fingers together in front of his face, his gaze fixed on you. The people of Blood Pledge are incredibly proud. They've always wanted to be more than our allies, to be truly equal to the North Blaze. And we all know that they are nothing more than a wild tribe. But they know our thoughts and hate us for them. Can't they be persuaded? Lord Aaron shakes his head. I strongly doubt it, but it is your will how to choose to accomplish this mission, with the blade of the axe or with the power of your words. All right, thank you. And then I'm going to ask him about the... Oh, I learned that Ulfric, their leader, has begun to gather his troops. Ask him about the caravan. You have a few weeks to prepare for the guarding of the caravan. Got it. Will you aid me with some of your knights on this mission? That's a bold request. You must handle it alone. Yeah, okay. Where is it headed? The caravan loaded with goods will head for Discord, passing by the steps. Okay. Thank you, Lord Aaron. You thank him for the information and you retire to consult with Ragnar, Abbas, and Nan. You have to rejoin your troops to prepare and plan for your quest. I don't want to keep my troops waiting. That clearly frustrated them. I think the blood pledge are more important to deal with first. You are lost in reflection, trying to remember everything you have read about the tribes of Blood Pledge. These spearmen are known to be extremely skilled soldiers, and even the most experienced legions envy their fighting discipline. Their battle formations are difficult to break through, and some of them carry javelins so they can throw with great precision. Great. And then what do we know of the Horse Lords? You think about what you know of the Horse Lords, steppe riders who sometimes attack poorly guarded caravans traveling between the West and East Rim. Their warriors can shoot a burst of arrows at the approaching enemy from the backs of their horses, and then retreat to a safe distance to continue their ranged attack. Well, that's the worst. Okay. We've got 2 new tasks. Let's go ahead and take a break here. When we come back, we're going to try to take care of the Blood Pledge. Probably that first, and then protect the caravan. I wish there was a way for us to refill our army, because we're getting pretty weak ourselves, and our army's getting pretty thin. But we'll make do with what we have. Thanks everyone for watching. See you next time.